Isn't it just so incredibly beautiful out today? I thought I would show you a little bit of what we have going on and then kind of keep you posted on where we are at with the garden. Won't you join me today? You see ice and snow? I see ice and snow. Welcome to Modern Homestead Alaska. We are Aaron and Jessica Milnes. We are building a modern homestead outside of Wasilla, Alaska, with the help of 3 of our children. Our second son, Caleb, our daughter, Cody Ann, and the youngest of our family, Wyatt, along with our 3 dogs, Tipper and Daisy, and the newest addition, Roberto. Hello, chickens. Here it is, May 4th. We are supposed to be able to put our garden in the ground by the end of the month. That means there is a ton that has to get done. I see water finally, if you can see kind of right there. Hopefully that's where I'm pointing. There is a little bit of water coming off the lake. The chickens now had gone from this itty bitty circle that Aaron and I had cleared over there for them to they're all over the place. They are free ranging it. We have been very, very fortunate with the birds. They're able to kind of stay out, and I don't know if they're protecting themselves or whatever the case is, but they have kind of become little free-range chickens who are so spoiled and loved that as soon as I came out here, every single one of them came sprinting up to me. They love the attention. Hi, guys. So I just was going to tell you, I know that this is supposed to be a gardening update, and I do have a bunch of planting to do here in a minute. Do you see this fat, fluffy one there? So there's 2 of them out here currently that look like that. No, she's not out here. The other 2 like that are so broody that Aaron and I let them have a couple of eggs. We don't even know if they're fertilized, nor do we really care, but we're feeding and watering them separately because they literally pulled all of their own belly feathers out in order to get like that skin to egg contact and keep the eggs super warm. And we were pulling them off of their eggs and pushing them outside and taking the eggs away, and we literally tried all of it, and sometimes you just can't fight nature hard enough. It wins. So their natural need to kind of be broody, except for they're so docile and so gentle that our replacement flock is actually going to be those same sort of layer. And then somewhere, I don't know, they stay really close to the coop. Like the little black and white ones are super friendly, but it's kind of these red ones that love Cody. Like when she gets out of the car, they come sprinting over and like want her to actually pick them up. I don't understand it, and everyone laughs, and it's like, no, chickens don't do that. Yes, they actually do. There are some weird chickens out there that actually get attached to a person and want that person to hold them and pet them and love them, and I just think it's so funny. What y'all doing? There is so much to peck out here. I came into the coop, I found them. These little black and white ones are so funny. So we got 4 new layers because you'll get, they'll stop laying around 3 years. So each year we want to replace a portion of the chickens. So, yeah, so I got some of those, and then here they are, these 2. This one's just laying an egg, and then the other big one. So, oh, chickens. Oh, chicky. I made them get up to eat and drink. I do give them food and water, those 2, but they come out and argue. But look at the mess we have. Oh, don't walk too far that way. I just stepped in so much fun. Okay, here we go. It's a mud hole. It's a giant wet mud hole. Those are the trees that we took out for the greenhouse. Can you see where the greenhouse area is? And the rocks and everything I was talking about. And then there's kind of a retaining wall. And then this is the garden space. Dun, dun, dun. In the garden space. And then here will be the run, the covered run for the chickens. You have the coop and so on. That looks like a massive pile of branches, but if you can see right there under it, it's actually snow, where they piled the snow and cleared the snow off that area in order to clear the trees. The trees will get cut, like I've said before. They will become firewood. They won't get wasted. Some of them may actually become building projects. And then what looked like a massive amount of chicken scrap is still on top of just hills of snow out there. So it really isn't that much. So that will get spread out. We found this sinkhole. So this just started that. Thank God we hadn't built this covered run, because it would have been collapsing in that sinkhole. So that would have been really bad. But we'll just take our time again this year. But I wanted to show you, as everyone's like, oh, look at my garden and everything I planted in it. This was the row. We have to get it all picked back up that had the peas and beans on it. Like, it's all collapsed under the amount of snow that Aaron and I had to move this winter, and our garden itself still has snow on it in the beginning of May. So it is going to be a little bit of time before we can get to working all of this and get our garden outside. However, my plants are ridiculous how big they have gotten. And so we have to upplant the tomatoes again today, beyond the point of I have more plants than shelving when we upplant them today. So I think I'm just gonna move some lights to the basement and be like, it is what it is. This happened last year as well. The tomatoes, I needed to upplant them in a pot that got so big that it just kind of got to the point where they hung out in the basement. They got what natural lighting they got. They kind of were slow, but when I got them outside, they just totally took off without any issues. And so it kind of feels like that's what's about to happen again today. Let me show you the plants. Oh, goodness. Well, I have a jungle in my living room. I'm going to start with these guys. I'm going to take these down right immediately. There's nothing wrong. They just got so tall that they're laying over. And we're just going to bury them as deep as we can and then get these guys going. I'll just take down one plat at a time and see if I can find some place to put these in the basement. Hold on for 1 month. Hold on for just a few more weeks and try and get all of this moved outside. Let me take them downstairs and then we'll up pop. I literally am honestly laughing at myself. I am like, welcome to today's installment of how come her back always hurts, because I moved all of this by myself. The giant piece of wood was clear on the other side, scooted over, lifted it up. And how come her basement is always a mess? I can't imagine why. So I have some soil here. This was open. I need to get some water going in it. I just got these from Amazon. They took weeks to get here. This is some 1-gallon pots. I think that's what they are. 6-inch nursery pots, so they're not 1 gallon. But these are a much bigger step up for the tomatoes. And then the tomatoes, hopefully, when we up pot them into the 5-gallon grow bags, we're going to do that where each plant is gonna stay. Yes, you can physically move those around. It's also extremely hard on me to try and move something that big, that heavy around. But wanted to show you something also that I got for the tomatoes and the peppers. So these little things snap on, and then you can run a string through them. So just snap them around the bottom of the tomato somehow. Let me figure out how they work. Anyway, these snap around the bottom and you run a string through them, and the tomatoes and the peppers, and you can also do like, if you wanted to do like a stick or a pole or something like that, these totally work for that. Let me figure out how they work. Hopefully the tomatoes do not outgrow these pots by its time, but look at that. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this. I'm gonna want to bury this as, look, we have roots all the way to the bottom. So you want to bury them as deep as possible. So we're gonna go here. Just a second. Okay, and then the one clip I had was a dud. So they just have a little snap on them. So I'm gonna snap this on, and then that way I'm going to be able to keep that on there and then run a piece of twine up the tomato and maybe affix it to a piece of wood. So just move this. I know it looks terrible right now, but I am gonna get them stood back up. And hopefully they don't outgrow this pot before I can put them into the garden, is what I was saying a minute ago. So snap the bottom. As far as tomatoes go, there are determinate and indeterminate varieties, meaning some will just keep blooming and producing tomatoes, and then others will have one set of flower blooms and then the tomatoes that are produced from that, and that is it. That's all you get out of them. The other thing on all of these tomatoes, if you were not here earlier in one of the gardening videos, is some of these tomatoes are truly meant to be outdoors. Here in Alaska, I grew them outdoors last year and they're totally fine. And some will require cover, such as a greenhouse. I'm gonna show you something I learned from the local greenhouse guy that's super well known for his tomatoes. I can link Mid-Valley Greenhouse is what it's called up here in Wasilla. And anything about tomatoes, though, if you're in a cooler climate, can kind of teach you. But let me just show you, first of all. So I should have done this maybe with some of the first ones. These are kind of stringy, like a really soft vine, and we want kind of some of those hairs. So I'm propping up as I folded that, just gently, and then laying it in the soil and then building kind of around it. And what I'm hoping to happen is that it builds kind of a stronger root system, allowing this tomato to hold a little bit more weight, because she's kind of thin and, you know, a little more leggy, as opposed to, like, look at this tomato. Look how short and fat these ones are. So that tomato is going to withstand a lot more wind and weather than a tomato that's just super long and viney like this. And so by pushing part of it, these are called Polar Beauties. So this is an outdoor tomato for where we're at. So they just need a little extra help in the beginning, and then they should be okay. And then we're gonna put these little snaps on it and get them kind of stood up. I do have to, I tried to order some stakes for them, and I couldn't get those off of Amazon, so I'll have to see if like Home Depot or a local garden store has some. But what also happened was I had a fairly low germination, and because this is one of the outdoor tomatoes, I planted some extras. So now what's gonna happen with this one is I am going to very gently separate these tomatoes and then transplant them just like I did the other ones. And then hopefully we will be able to get, so I'm gonna just cull that one and then the other one. So we're gonna get 3 out of that. What I had done when we upplanted and I had fewer of these than the others, I just threw some seeds in one of the little pots, and then we had a bunch of germination. So who knows why they happen kind of in the phase that they did. But this one, again, we're gonna bury it really deep and try and get some of, so I'm gonna pull these, snip these leaves, and pack it around it. I'm starting a fire, if you can hear that behind me. Not only do the chicks need some warmth, but the tomatoes need to stay nice and warm as well. I should get away because our house is so spray foam and insulated, and it's getting up into the 40s. Sometime this week, they said it might even hit 50 degrees. I've done 4 of these trays of tomatoes. We have 8 trays total, and it has taken up, I'm hoping, half. So we have 4 trays left to go of tomatoes, and I'm hoping to get all of them on this one piece of wood, and then Cody and I are gonna come and scoot it out, allowing me just enough space to get around and water it, and then I'll bring some grow lights down here. And then I'm gonna show you, because now I have open tray space, and about 3 to 4 weeks before we plant outdoors, I thought it would be a good time to start planting some amazing flowers that we ordered in specifically for this part of Alaska. And I thought I would share that with you right after I finish getting the tomatoes done. Okay, anyone that says gardening is not exhausting, this has taken hours. I got all the tomatoes done. So much. And then they're even on the floor. Like, oh, okay, they're gonna be fine. These guys, I just watered. They're starting to perk up, but look how tall they are, and the fact they stand up on their own. They're very, very healthy. They're doing really well. Okay, on to project 2 for the night. Okay, it's the next day. I literally accidentally went into public like this. I didn't expect to be gone for a few hours. I just was so tired. By the time I cut off the video, I didn't realize it was 8 o'clock last night. So I have 4 trays ready for flowers. Each one has 3 by 7. So I could either do like 24 different rows of flowers or whole trays of flowers. But this was something that I got off Amazon. I'm gonna link it, and it's called Cool Flowers. And what this, I believe it's 2 ladies, but what they did was they live someplace really similar, although it's not in Alaska, to us. And these are the amazing flowers that grow in this area. And they make all of these flower recommendations in the book. And I am not quite garden-wise ready for flowers that come back every year. So instead of doing those, I have all of those pots I've shown you before. We decided that we would just plant 2 things. So here was the qualification, because there's so many flowers to choose from. We needed them to be excellent in a container. So it really needed to be something that wanted to be in a container. It also needed to be something that really liked the sun. So it needed to be a full sun. And the reason is in the summer, the sun basically circles overhead here. It doesn't like rise in the east and set in the west. Like you don't see those sunsets. It just kind of circles, and there is a lot of sunlight. So it needs to kind of be a sun-loving flower. And then the other thing we did was started from seed indoors. So anything, I would love to go through and get a bunch that I can start outdoors that will just grow as little perennials and so on. And then eventually I'd like to have some garden beds that are literally year after year, they just come back and they're beautiful. We're just not there yet. So we started slow. So I took the book and then I went through and I found those qualification flowers. And now today, the only flower that will come back every year, and we got all of these hydrangea, and we're hoping that they sprout. And I would love to plant these kind of like along the driveway and just kind of let them go wild if they will. We'll see if that happens. Those are the one exception to the rules. And then we'll go through and see how many we have. I just ordered all the different flowers off of Amazon, had them shipped here, and we are gonna get flower planting. Let's go. So I'm just gonna start with tray number 1, and it is called a Black-Eyed Susan. It says sow indoors, do not cover, or sow outdoors. Do not cover, sprouts in 7 to 14 days. And then it is a full sun and excellent in a container. The next one is called Drop More, I think. It's a beautiful blue flowering plant. It likes 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. You sow it indoors, sprouts again, 14 to 28 days. It's super winter hardy, and it's good for growing in a container. And there is only, so it says, sow indoors, do not cover, or sow outdoors, do not cover, sprouting. So it just wants you to put the seed kind of on top. I think it's pronounced feverfew. So it's kind of like a little daisy. So it's a white flower with a yellow center. It loves full sun. It's good in a container. Sow indoors. Do not cover again. Lots of the do not cover. Now these are like so minuscule. Look at the seeds. Teeny tiny. I do wet my top seeds, but we water from the bottom. So actually I'll pour the water. So this was damp last night. I didn't get them planted, so it should be fine. But anywho, just a little water from the top, but mostly we want this soil to pull the water up from the bottom. So I have this on like a really fine spray and just kind of helps settle the seeds in. The next seeds are foxglove. Foxglove is just so beautiful. How tall does foxglove get? 24 to 36 inches. This is another sow indoors. Do not cover because the seeds are so fine. So what I do is there's like some static cling in the bag, and I just get like that, if you can see it, some seeds on my finger, And then just roll it around gently, dropping it right on the top. And I've just taken the time, I sat down and I made a label for every single one of the containers. That way, right off the bat, as soon as I get the foxglove in, I grab the label and immediately we get the label set in them. Even before I water, before I do anything else, then I know who is what. Can't pronounce it. Is it Godeta? Godeta Monarch. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. So indoors, do not cover. Do not cover or sow outdoors. This one says 14 to 21 days is the actual germination on this one. The next seed is an ornamental cabbage. I have some planters that are gonna go on the side of like the woodshed, and I just am hoping that these ornamental cabbages grow because I think they would be so beautiful kind of as the side of the, what you might call it, the planter. So let's get a few seeds per each. Next is more commonly known as a pin cushion, is this flower. Look at that. This beautiful reddish pink. Oh, I can't wait to see these grow. So the pin cushions are a little bigger seed, but they're super lightweight and delicate. And so we're gonna do the same thing we do with all the other bigger seeds. Just get a couple in. I don't mind separating the flowers out, and then these are going into pots anyway, and so they're getting transplanted already, so I don't mind kind of getting them in there. So I have two kinds of snapdragons. This one, we're just gonna try it. I'm gonna plant the whole thing out. It's from 2019. I got this at a seed exchange, and then these are some brand new from this last season snapdragons that I ordered. We'll see if any of these bloom, but I'm gonna do 2 rows of snapdragon. So these are called straw flowers. They're just a super dry flower, and you plant them 12 inches apart when you actually plant them out after the danger of frost has passed, and so on. So these bloom indoors, or we begin them indoors. And then they end up 1 to 2 feet high. How cute is that? And then they're just a super dry flower that you can cut and bring in the fall. So I'm super excited to try these. So these are called Sweet William. They are so beautiful. The same thing. These germinate 14 to 30 days. We're about 3-4 weeks from outdoor. They like a little warmer soil temperature, 67 degrees, and then about 12 inches apart. And they love full sun as well. So this is yarrow. It's the last for this set of trays, and then we have to bump over there to those. But I got these really beautiful pastel ones. Oh, I can't wait. I think yarrow is probably one of the prettiest flowers to grow. So I have 2 kinds of hydrangea, and then the amazing part about a hydrangea is the color is actually going to be dependent on your soil. So you can try and buy a color, and your soil is actually, the acidity of your soil is going to dictate how the hydrangea actually comes out. I'm going to plant an entire tray of just hydrangea. Marigolds have a million uses, and I don't know why. I've always just been super, super attracted to marigolds. And so the first ones that I did for the chickens, they're in pots over there, did so beautifully, and they are growing just, I love them. I'm gonna do an entire tray of marigolds as well. The next ones are not actually out of my book. I just love daisies. So I kind of have some painted daisies, some traditional yellow daisies, and some forget-me-nots in the next tray. All right, guys, the final three. I got these at a seed exchange too, so we don't know what the germination is gonna be. We got some cosmos, some petunias, and some delphinium, I think is how you say it. And then we're done. I'm gonna close out the video. There we have it, friends. 8 new pots or flats of plants started. We have so much going on with the garden. I keep telling you, Roberto knocked this over, but I think we've been able to save part of it that needs some help. But like, look at the marigolds growing in these pots inside. And that is the beauty of starting flowers indoor, is once they go into pots, if you just have space to stick all the pots, you can start them super early. I'm excited to see what grows. If you're excited to see what grows around here, hit that subscribe button, make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, you'll get notification. Thumbs up and comments do truly help our channel to grow. I know gardening isn't everyone's thing, but I am trying to not only learn, but help others that are in a similar climate as we are up here, short growing season, all of those fun things. So if this isn't what you're into, there's other videos coming up. Promises, right? So thank you for hanging out. I am so blessed each and every time one of you join me in my home on this modern homestead here in Alaska. You are such a blessing to me, and I hope that you are blessed today as well. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me today. I'll talk soon.